Right now we're going to welcome in Dave Sholler. He's the Vice President of Communications for the Philadelphia 76ers and really heavily involved in the holiday supplies drive here at 97.3 ESPN FM. Good morning, Dave.
Sully, I got to tell you, I feel like I was in a 12-round title fight after last night's Sixers game.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was at the Holy Spirit boys basketball game and saw a couple young kids with Embiid shirts on, so he's definitely becoming one of those stars. You know, when the 8-year-olds start wearing your jersey and your shirt, you're a big-time star.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We actually are number one in the NBA in merchandise sales growth.
Really?
And two of our players, Embiid and Simmons, are in the top 10 of individual jersey sales. So we're seeing a lot of Embiid jerseys, a lot of Simmons jerseys. And last night's atmosphere down in South Philadelphia was just electric. That was, in my career in sports, which now is 10-plus years, one of the most electric, insane atmospheres I'd ever been a part of. 3 overtimes. Russell Westbrook versus Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. It was a special atmosphere, and it was kind of even though we lost, it was still such, I think, a positive experience for our team being so young, and a pretty good way to propel us into the final weeks of 2017.
Well, that's definitely got to be a cool thing for everybody involved in that organization. I mean, you get these big time teams coming in, and now you're filling a stadium. There's a buzz around all the fans, and it really kind of gives you a little bit of a home court advantage, which you may not have had the last couple of years.
It's absolutely right. I don't know that there is a more intense place to play in the NBA right now than Philadelphia. I really mean that. That's not PR speak. That's not hype. I think our fans bring it. I mean, we had 4+ inches of snow yesterday, and fans were still coming into the arena after 8 o'clock last night. They took their time getting up there to be careful, but I think by the halfway point we were at capacity. But by the start of the game, fans were still trickling in, but the crowd just grew louder and louder and louder, and I could tell you firsthand our players feed off of that. J.J. Redick said this is the best place he's ever played in terms of fan commitment and fan engagement. And, last night was a prime example of that. We try not to take moral victories. We did lose the game, but to claw back the way we did against a good veteran Thunder team is something we can build upon.
And Dave, man, these fans, they love it when they got a team they can get behind. I mean, this is a real basketball town, Philadelphia. You're talking about, teams, places like Philly, New York, Boston, Chicago. These are basketball cities, and when you have a team you can get behind and get excited about, it just makes the winter a whole lot more exciting.
It's true. Listen, we love our football team in midnight green, and there's no doubt about it that the Philadelphia Eagles are somewhat of a religion in our area. But the reality is, you nailed on something, Sully. This is a basketball area. Whether you talk about some of the fandom for high school basketball in this area, certainly the Philadelphia collegiate scene with Villanova and Temple and St. Joe's. But if you look back, and yesterday we unveiled a sculpture of Mo Cheeks.
Nice.
He joins our Legends Walk at our new facility in Camden. We have such rich history as a basketball town, whether you talk about Wilt, Dr. J, Moses, so many of the great players that have come through, but it's really something that's come through in entire levels. We have such a passionate high school fan base. We have a passionate college fan base, and to have that history play out now, and you mentioned 8-year-olds wearing Embiid jerseys, it's cool to be able to bring and bridge that young fan with the fan of the past who maybe sat out the past few years, hoping this team would come back. Everyone has come back. We lead the league in ticket sales, and it's just a really, really fun atmosphere right now.
Dave, you're getting old when the guys you grew up watching are now considered legends.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? It's pretty wild.
Mo Cheeks, I'm like, hey, he was right there in the mid-'80s. I was 12, 13 years old.
It's funny, even to take it to somewhat of and I mean this respectfully to this player, a lesser extent, Raymond Felton is the backup point guard for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and obviously watching him play in college and through 12+ years in the pros, you see guys like that are starting to get older. Last year it was Paul Pierce. we're so fortunate. We were talking about this last night after the game, that the NBA is probably in the best spot it's ever been in terms of potential growth. You talk about guys like Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, the Greek Freak out in Milwaukee, Kristaps Porzingis up in New York, Alonzo Ball out in LA. There's so many young players coming up that could carry the flag for the next generation of the NBA. And then you get games like last night. ESPN goes all in by doing an all-access show with us throughout the entire day. And then you get a triple overtime game featuring Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, J.J. Redick, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Dario Saric. It was, I know Star Wars came out this week. You can't script a movie better than last night, though.
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned all the international guys. That's really a cool thing about basketball and baseball is you get such an international flavor. Basketball, you're getting a lot of that Eastern European flavor, and in baseball, a lot of Japanese, Korean, and also Latin America. It's really cool when you get to see different countries getting involved in the sports here in America.
It is, and listen, that's what I love about sports. I felt the same way about my last stop at the UFC. We're in a time in the world where there's a lot to argue over, there's a lot to debate, and there's a lot of serious things impacting our nation and our country, and then obviously our world. But the great unifier to me is sport. Sports can bring together people from all backgrounds, diversities, races, genders, socioeconomic statuses, you name it. When the ball is thrown in the air, when that first pitch is thrown, when the first tackle is made, whatever it may be, sports has a really powerful unifying force. And I think we're seeing that in our game. Our roster alone with Timi Lawawu from France, Dario from Croatia, Joel from Cameroon, Ben from Australia. I could go on and on. This has become a true global game. And I think when you look across the lens of all of sports, I think soccer really started that trend. Basketball has carried it to the next level, and baseball. Every day it feels like you're hearing about another dynamic young player from somewhere outside the United States. Not that there isn't great talent here like our own Mike Trout, but it's really cool to see how this globalization of sport has helped pull us all together.
Talking with Dave Sholler, VP of Communications for the Philadelphia 76ers. And Dave, tell us real quick about the second annual holiday supplies drive for the Atlantic City Rescue Mission. I know that's been a cause close to your heart the last couple of years, and tell us what's going on. I know we had a real great response last winter. How's it been going so far this winter?
It's been fantastic. We had event number one last night at the Golden Nugget, hosted by Mike Gill and Pete Thompson from the Sports Bash. We had just an incredible turnout of folks who dropped off supplies, everything from cleaning supplies to personal hygiene products to warm coats and hats and gloves, which is appropriate on this snowy morning in South Jersey. And then we continue the cause tomorrow from 10 to 4 at Gregory's in Summers Point. We'll be accepting donations all day. The 97.3 Eagles pregame show will be there beginning at 10 a.m. There's going to be drink specials, food specials, and we look forward to watching the start of the Nick Foles era for Philadelphia Eagles football together with our friends in South Jersey as we look to benefit a great cause, the Atlantic City Rescue Mission. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention a good friend, a South Jersey guy, Rob Haydak from Cage Fighting Fury Championships, a local MMA promotion. They have a show tonight at the Borgata, and they are coming through with a significant, sizable donation of supplies for the Atlantic City Rescue Mission, as they did last year. It's so great, Sully, to have iconic South Jersey establishments like Gregory's on board. It's great to have storied global brands like Golden Nugget on board. It's great, obviously, to have the local leader in sports talk in 97.3 and the group of Town Square Media. Guys like Josh Hennig sitting right across from you, Sully, who are committed to the cause. It's just cool to see everybody rally together.
Are you surprised at how well it's taken off in just the second year?
It's funny. Somebody asked me that question yesterday, and I am surprised, because I think in this day and age with some of the economic situations that have impacted our area, whether it be the casino closures or just sometimes the lack of jobs. And I think our local politicians are doing a great job of trying to infuse this area with new job opportunities. I get it. I understand that people can sometimes just not have the ability to focus outside of their own well-being and their own getting by. But to see so many great people in this area step up in such a huge way, I'm inspired by that. I've got a really close friend by the name of Chip Donovan out of Egg Harbor Township. He does a lot of work with the Egg Harbor Township school systems and runs a really successful financial services firm. And he's a guy that's continually been there to step up and help. I think about guys like Howard Hirsch and Dan Brown from the Atlantic City Rescue Mission. I think about Harry Hurley from your radio group. I think about some really impactful people. And I also am reminded that we don't have to be solely reliant on our local politicians or bills or legislation. Sometimes we can just rally together as residents, as citizens, as good people to make a difference. And Sully, I know we've talked about this in the past, but the folks that are reliant on the Atlantic City Rescue Mission aren't solely folks who are addicted or battling some sort of self-inflicted cause, or and there's a lot of stereotypes, and that's my point. There's a lot of stereotypes when you talk about the cause of homelessness, but the reality is addiction is a disease. Unemployment is sometimes impacting our closest neighbors, friends, and relatives, and there's a lot of situations in life where people just get down on their luck. It's not incumbent upon me as a person. I'm not trying to preach, but I don't judge. When somebody needs a helping hand, I try to do my best to extend mine. And I'm fortunate to be in a position with my wife, who's incredibly supportive, in my family, where we have the means to give back. And tomorrow's event at Gregory's isn't about who can donate the most. It's just about rallying together. If you can donate 1 can of food, that's fantastic. If you can donate 200 coats like someone did with Mike Gill earlier this week, fantastic. It's just about rallying together and helping our area residents who are in need. It's been a really trying last 5 to 10 years in our area because of some of the economic situations. So this is just about, looking across the street, looking right to left, and just saying, hey, how can we help those in need?
Dave, real quick, in the next 20, 30 seconds before we let you go, are there any more events coming up before Christmas, or how can people get involved if they can't make it out there tomorrow?
You can always get involved by going to acrescuemission.org. They have a donate function right on their website, or you can stop by their facility in Atlantic City and drop off products and supplies. They're always looking for support. And Sully, as always, it's really meaningful and impactful that you put me on the air on your show, and we talk about this. So thank you so much.
Always a joy having you, Dave, man. Appreciate you taking a few minutes. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
You too.
That was Dave Sholler, VP of Communications for the Philadelphia 76ers.